Elderberry syrup can reduce the severity and duration of cold and flu symptoms. It can also provide immune support so you don't get a cold or flu in the first place. You've probably seen it all over the internet and in stores as a pharmacological supplement. Today I'm going to teach you how to make this syrup without the artificial flavors, preservatives, and refined sugars that are in many commercial products. I'll also teach you how to make some elderberry gummies, as well as a really good fizzy elderberry drink. Elderberries are rich in polyphenols called anthocyanins, which make them a high antioxidant and anti-inflammatory food. Plus, they're high in vitamin C. There are tons of great studies out there showing the benefits of elderberry syrup, so let's make it. The first thing we're gonna do is cook our elderberries. I have dried elderberries here, which is what you're most commonly gonna find. While these are very healthy, they're absolutely toxic in this form, so must be cooked. I'm adding a half cup of dried elderberries to a saucepan along with 2 cups of water, and I'm gonna simmer for 20 minutes covered. Now I'm gonna remove the lid and let these simmer for another 15 minutes or until the liquid has reduced by about half. Now dump all of this into a bowl using a fine mesh strainer to catch the elderberries and press out any extra liquid that's still in the elderberries. Optional. If you want to make a thicker syrup, return your syrup to the pot on low to medium heat and finally sprinkle in some arrowroot powder. 1 to 2 teaspoons, 2 teaspoons if you want it to be fairly thick, 1 if you want it to be just minimally thick, while whisking at the same time for about 3 minutes until this thickens. You could use another thickener, cornstarch, or something else if you'd like. If you're using arrowroot powder, make sure you don't heat this forever because then the arrowroot will begin to break down. Technically, you would make a slurry on the side with your arrowroot powder and some water, and you would swish it all together and then add that into your syrup because then it is less likely to clump. I just find that if I'm careful about sprinkling it in and whisking at the same time, I don't have to dilute my syrup with water and don't have to add that extra step. Now our syrup is complete, but we want to sweeten it. I'm gonna sweeten mine with raw honey because in addition to the great properties of the elderberries, I wanna get the great antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and antiviral properties of raw honey. In order to not mess up those properties, I need to let this cool first. So I'm gonna pop this in the fridge and then we'll pour in the honey. Now for the elderberry gummies. For these, we're gonna follow all of the same first steps. And then here's the tricky part. Gelatin needs to be warmed a little bit to thicken, but we want our syrup to cool all the way to put the raw honey in to not kill the beneficial enzymes. So we're gonna try to strike a balance. We're gonna let our syrup cool as much as possible, but while it's still somewhat warm, we're gonna carefully whisk in the gelatin so that it doesn't clump. And then we're gonna let it cool a little bit further and add the raw honey. You could use a half a cup if you really want these very, very sweet. For me, that's a little too sweet, so I'm just putting in about a 1/4 cup. If you really wanna retain all the benefits of your raw honey, the gummies may not be the way to go. You might just wanna go with the traditional syrup method. And here are my gummies. Obviously, you could cut these into whatever shape you would like. Okay, so there's a reason why elderberry syrup is not the go-to syrup for your pancakes. It does have a bit of a strong taste. So if you're like me, what you do is make this drink. And this is really, really, really good. And you can get your dose of elderberry syrup easily, at least once, if not multiple times a day doing this. And this is great for kids too. So all you're gonna do is take your tablespoon of elderberry syrup. You can lessen this for a kid. Throw that in a glass. Then you're gonna put in a cup of water. I love to use some sort of carbonated water because it makes it such a tasty fizzy drink. Today I'm using sparkling water. Then you just throw in a bunch of lemon juice. I like to use about 3 tablespoons or about the juice of 1.5 lemons. This is so good. It tastes like a cocktail, but I'm not gonna feel like tomorrow. It is hydrating, great for the immune system because it has our elderberry syrup, which contains raw honey as well, and we've got lemon juice in there. Want to keep drinking it. So now that we have our elderberry syrup, how much do we take daily? I would take these recommendations with a major grain of salt. I really don't think that we know exactly how much we need on a daily basis, especially with regards to children. And I think the research is ongoing. But these are the general recommendations. As a daily preventative, for adults, 1 tablespoon per day. For children, 1 teaspoon per day. During illness, for adults, 1 tablespoon every 2 to 3 hours, not to exceed about 5 times per day. For children, 1 teaspoon every 2 to 3 hours, not to exceed about 5 times a day. I should mention this will last quite a long time. We're talking months in the refrigerator. The more honey you have in it, the more it's going to be preserved and the longer it will last. I love to throw mine in the freezer. It's really good. It tastes like some sort of sorbet. And all you have to do is take the frozen stuff and mix it into your drink as well. So you can always have enough on hand to make your nice little mocktail. Now you've got your elderberry syrup. Cold and flu season will not get the best of you this year. Have a fun drink. If you want, you can add other things to your syrup too, like ginger and cinnamon. Make sure you cook this. And remember to eat real food. I'll see you in the next video.